Yeah, we do, Brandon. And this is a guy who, with Stephen Ambrose, really had the idea for a D-Day museum here in New Orleans to honor the greatest generation. And Andrew Higgins, who really, Stephen Ambrose said, Dwight Eisenhower said, really helped win the war, World War II. Nick Mueller, you and your friend Stephen had this at the time, back in the 90s, a grand idea for a small museum.
That's it.
Originally on the lakefront,
right?
But then you started getting property here in the warehouse district, and I mean, beyond your and Stephen's wildest dreams, it's blossomed into probably one of the greatest museums in the world.
I think we feel that. Of course, I'm biased, and I believe that's the case, but other people tell us that too, and it's known around the world, and people come from everywhere to see this museum. It's a Smithsonian-class museum.
And I love the story about how you guys did this, because I remember walking around with Stephen when this was just an old warehouse, not this part, but the beginning part was an old warehouse, and the dreams of making it a D-Day museum. How did it get from there to where we are now?
Well, we got to there. That was another story by itself, because it started even smaller than that warehouse. But it got to the World War II Museum almost immediately, because
within 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, within 3 years, and there was, from the moment of that great grand opening with 200,000 people on the streets, and Secretary of Defense and Spielberg and Hanks and
I remember that day well.
Oh, nobody will ever forget that. But people are always saying, you've got to get more land. You've got to do all of World War II, especially Senator Stevens and
Ted Stevens from Alaska.
Ted Stevens from Alaska, who was the head of appropriations, loved Ambrose. He was in the China-Burma India. He says, you've got to do the CBI. And if you take on the rest of the war, I'll help. And he did, and he got us the money to help buy the land and do the planning.
And the segments, we watched it grow over the years. Started out with the pavilion where the Higgins boat was, and still is. And then it winds through the war, because it started with the D-Day, then it went to the Pacific, and now we get to this final building, the Liberation Pavilion, and it is the liberation of first Sicily, then the rest of Italy, and then France, and then into Germany.
Yeah, and that's what the road to Tokyo is the same kind of thing. And we start here with a big defeat. We want people to understand we were unprepared for this war. Our troops were green. We're here in North Africa, where we suffered.
There's a howitzer behind us.
Yes, and this gives you the desert feeling, and it's a cinematic almost approach, environmental. So everywhere you are in this museum, you kind of feel the geography. If you're in Guadalcanal, you're in the Pacific, and so the story weaves its way as a story chronologically, and then you get to Liberation Pavilion that now is finding hope in a world destroyed. And this museum, even though we're a war museum, we are also about what happened to society, how the home front was so important.
Well, because World War II changed not just America, it changed the world.
It did, and that's part of our mission statement. We follow the American experience through the war that changed the world.
And you guys have a big weekend planned. The official dedication of the pavilion is today. That's an invitation-only event. Then some big celebration over the weekend.
Right, and the Medal of Honor Society is here with us, and they're having their own convention here. They do annually, and so we're honored to have the Medal of Honor Society. And tonight will be their big event with an award for Tom Hanks and Paul Hilliard, our past chairman. So we have the most decorated, honorable part of the U.S. military, and 42 of them are still surviving who are here. And so they'll be the showcase, and they should be, because this story really began with Steve Ambrose taking oral histories, and they're scattered throughout all of these exhibits, and you can listen to them in their own words.
Nick, thank you very much. We had our choice, either Tom Hanks or you, but you're so important. Bring Nick Mueller in. All right, back to you guys.